Welcome to the Ralph E. Johnson Jr. YouTube channel, where we feature thought-provoking videos. We have compelling interviews and profound discussions about the society in which we live. And if you like our videos, please subscribe to the channel so that we can grow and so that we can continue to bring forth these videos. Children killing children. Children killing adults. Children just straight out killing in our American society throughout history really is not anything new. But we all must admit that there has been an insurgence of the killing, an epidemic, if you will. And we are wrapping our brains around this insurgence of killing. We're mystified. We are trying to figure out what in the world is going on. There are many valid philosophies, theories, opinions that we could bring to the table, and they all have validity. So here are my suggestions or my philosophy, the way that I see it. I've been analyzing this thing, did a little research. Of course, I have all of those years in law enforcement, corrections, and I've dealt with a lot of juveniles with delinquent problems, with mental conditions, violent tendencies. So I have a little insight of why I feel that the killing is going on. Now, we cannot dismiss the generational residual effects of lead poisoning. Prior to 1978, in all the residential houses in America, or most of them, particularly the low-income homes, they were saturated with lead paint. Even after 1978, those same houses exist and they were never cleaned out, so they still have the lead paint. So this thing has become generational in terms of our children ingesting lead paint throughout the years. And you ask me, why am I mentioning this lead paint thing? And I think we need to have an understanding about the side effects, the residual effects of lead paint on our children. And keep in mind, it has been generational. Lead paint causes brain damage. When you have brain damage, this is not reversible. The brain cells, once they're damaged, they cannot be healed. However, there's a lot of therapy and there's a lot of medication that enables children who have become adults to live their lives more manageable. Lead poisoning also causes nervous conditions. It damages your nerves in so many different ways. But more importantly, as it relates to crime and violence, particularly this murder, lead poison causes hyperactivity and extreme aggression. It causes violent behavior. These are the side effects of lead poison. It's been in our public, we've been talking about children getting checks for this lead poison as compensation. But the thing is, most of the lawyers, they have been getting billions and billions of dollars, while the damaged children, who most of them are adults now, they have been getting a little bit of chump change. But the fact of the matter is, the problem still exists. They still have that brain damage, and a lot of that damage is going unchecked. They're not properly medicated. They're not led in the right direction to be, so their brains could be manageable for the society in which we live. And it's going on a lot amongst the children. So our children, with the side effects of this lead poison, they're walking around in communities like human powder kegs, in hostile environments, and that fuse could be lit at any time in which it is. And they explode into all of this violence. And this is because this lead poisoning is going unchecked. It's going unremedied. We have to address the damage that lead poison has done to our children. And not only that, still in a lot of the low-income houses, you have a lot of lead paint that the children are ingesting, and these are the results. So we have to understand the effects of the side effects of lead poisoning. It causes aggression. It causes violent tendencies, violent outbursts. In the inner cities of America, where you're having a lot of this killing, and I'm going to talk about the children who are doing a lot of killing that's not in the inner city, but I just wanted to cover the lead poison, and this is why you're having a lot of killing in the inner cities. One of the reasons is because of these underlying conditions, and lead poison and the side effects of lead poison is one of them. Now also, you have a lot of children, not only in the inner city, but throughout America, because of trauma, because of some type of abuse, or a lot of it could be genetically, have mental disorders. And a lot of those children are subscribed antipsychotic medicine. Now, there's a debate that's going out there in the medical industry that antipsychotic medicine causes violence, causes behavior. The children exhibit troublesome behavior, violent behavior. A lot of studies that show a lot of juveniles that have been incarcerated, they are on some type of antipsychotic medication. Could be, could not be. A lot of the studies prove that the antipsychotic medicine, the side effects, are causing these behavior problems. So we kind of lean toward that. But let's just say that the children are taking antipsychotic medicine and the medicine is doing well. But how often do we monitor our children taking the medicine? A lot of the children, they are not only not taking the medicine, but a lot of them are selling their antipsychotic medicine. And we know when they are off the antipsychotic medicine, they are exhibiting the violent behavior that caused them to be on the antipsychotic medicine in the first place. In case in point of when you're off that antipsychotic medicine, how you actually act. For years, I worked in the psychiatric unit over the Baltimore City Jail. It was called E-section. A lot of people out there are familiar with E-section, a lot of the psych patients there. And a lot of the patients that have come on E-section, they were involved in notorious crimes. We had Joseph Matheny, who was one of Maryland's most notorious serial killers. We had the hitman for the Jamaican Posse. He was an Italian guy. He was tying people down in the basement and killing these people. Then we had the guy that beheaded the psychic, and all kind of heinous crimes that came from people who were off their antipsychotic medicine when they were on the street. But when they came to E-section, they came to the section, they were extremely violent. But once they started conforming in the structured environment of the Baltimore City Jail, they had a doctor, Dr. Berman, who monitored their behavior. I monitored the behavior. The COs monitored the behavior. So they were in a structured environment to ensure that they take their medication. So as long as they were on their antipsychotic medicine, they were all right. But as soon as they stopped taking it, we would notice it immediately because the stabbings would begin. People would be thrown off the tiers. They would start attacking officers and each other. Then we kind of figured that they weren't taking their antipsychotic medicine. So we would go back to observing them and ensuring that they took their psychotic medicine. When it comes to our children, they aren't in a structured environment. They're out on the streets. They do not have people monitoring them, making sure that they take their medication. And of course, if you're not taking your antipsychotic medicine, you're going to exhibit those violent behaviors. Combined in their hostile environment, they have access to guns, they have access to other illicit prescription drugs, and instead of taking their antipsychotic medicine, they take other illicit prescription drugs like Advil, Xanax, Percocets, Oxycodons, and things of that nature. And of course you have your Suboxone, and of course you have your hardcore drugs that they're out there taking in substitute of their antipsychotic medicine. Fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, you got meth clinics all around the place. This is what's going on as far as their mental conditions. They're not taking their antipsychotic medicine. The parents are not monitoring the kids. What the parents should do is monitor the kids more, make sure that they're more structured in terms of their medicine, because a lot of them are not taking their medicine. I know when I go to the projects or I'm in the city and I talk to a lot of these youth, I can tell if they're on their medication or not, and I'll get on them about that. And when they're not on their medication, they are extremely violent. So I believe this is contributing to a lot of the violence. And again, they are in neighborhoods. And even kids that's in the suburban America or the high status parts of America, so to speak, Americans believe in guns. So in most of these houses, you have all kind of guns. So when they are roaming the house off their antipsychotic medicine, they have access to all kind of weapons. And they're going out, they're hallucinating, they have these different bipolar mood swings, and they're going out committing these heinous crimes because of their mental disorder and their unstructured, unobserved way of taking their medication. That's something that we really need to get on top of, because we have so much, or so many of our children are suffering from some type of mental illness, and they have been subscribed these antipsychotic medicines and they are not taking them. That leads to a lot of violence. The next one that I want to address, and I've been kind of learning this ever since I was in elementary school. I had a teacher, or teachers, Mr. Pony, Miss Flowers, Mrs. Parham, then of course my great basketball coach, Mr. Harrell. They used to always say, Ralph, you are what you eat. And they weren't only talking about food. They were talking about the information and the knowledge that goes into your mind, because your behavior reflects what you consume in terms of knowledge, information. Even the pictures that you see, you begin to mimic that, particularly as a child. We have children every single day. They're looking at these violent video games. It's like a way of life, a culture of how to address your problems, your grievances, your sadness. Is through violence. This is what the games are teaching our children. And not all of them, but most of them. Then you go to the cartoons. Even the superheroes and sheroes in the cartoons, they're saving the day by blowing somebody's brains off. So naturally, a child's mind is not fully developed. And this is why you can have a 6-year-old that go to school and deliberately shoot the teacher, because first having access to guns and then having that type of information absorbed in that child's brain to resolve your differences or resolve your grievances through violence, through a handgun. So they only pretty much do what they mimic or what they see or what they hear. So they go to school and they shoot the teacher. Children are shooting children in front of the school, around the school, in neighborhoods, in front of recreation centers, playgrounds, all over, because this is what they are consuming on a daily basis in their minds in terms of the violence in the music, the violence in the cartoon, the violence on the silver screen, the movies, the violence in their neighborhoods, the violence in their household. Their minds, their young brains are being saturated with horrific violence. In return, they exhibit that type of behavior. So we have to change our children's diet in terms of their mental diet of what goes on to their brain. We have to monitor how much of those type of games that they watch. We have to monitor the type of cartoons. We have to monitor the movies. We have to monitor the conversations and the people we allow around our children, because it's going to manifest itself in their behavior if it's so much negativity. And it's a lot of negativity out there, and our children are being engulfed in that type of negativity. And it's for real. So you have the antipsychotic medicine that I know that the inmates were taking, like Haldol, Thorazine, Polixin, when they were on that type. They were some serious medications, but it would calm them down. And then we monitored the information that they absorbed. We monitored the videos. I did anyway in East Texas. I monitored the videos that they watched, the conversations that they would have, because I know that it would manifest itself in their behavior. This is my take of the whole thing. The lead poison, we have to, first of all, if children are living in residential homes with lead poison, we have to get rid of that lead poison or report it to the housing authority or whatever. We have to monitor our children's medication to make sure that they are on their antipsychotic medicine. And if the medication is producing any type of adverse effects, then you may have to lower the dose or change the dose. But we definitely have to monitor the activities when it comes to the antipsychotic medicine, if they're on it or if they are off it. Definitely have to watch what our children consume in terms of mentally, because they are what they eat. America is a culture of violence. Violence everywhere. And our kids are manifesting that type of violence in their behavior because they are consuming violence on a daily basis. Trust me, I understand there are so many more influences that's causing our children to commit these horrific crimes. But those three categories that I mentioned, I'm pretty sure they have a great influence on our children. Our children are the future, for good and bad. Let's produce, let's cultivate, let's nourish children to be productive citizens of society and just pretty much healthy children of society in terms of their mental capacity, because the mental illness on so many different levels, whether it's environmental or whether it's chemical caused, is causing our children to commit murder on a high level. And I can talk about the access of illegal guns all day. We know that exists as well. But I just wanted to throw that out there to give us food for thought and one of our thought-provoking videos. Again, God bless you all. Stay safe. Let's take care of our children and those children who have grown into adults that suffer from the same things that I mentioned. The same thing goes for you as well. Get out of those lead poison environments. Keep watch of your antipsychotic medicine. Stay on your antipsychotic medicine. And also watch out what you mentally consume. You don't need to be in front of all of these crime shows that's people are being found buried in crazy places, or somebody getting their head chopped off, or the whole block is getting shot up. And that's crazy. How in the world? And this is this Hollywood. This is what, and particularly with children, because their brains aren't fully developed. So you'll have even the police or the good person in the movie that will go out and kill everybody and slaughter everybody, then go home and make love to their loved one, and then take their children to the circus as if this is normal. Then you have the villains that will kill the whole neighborhood, then go up the street about his or her business. There aren't any police, there aren't any ambulance, there's no CIA, there's no investigation. They just go to the next episode. And children's brains aren't as developed to understand that this is just TV. This is just so-called visual art. And I can go on and on and on and on and on. But let's just stay vigilant, and let's watch what our children consume and the environment that our children are living in. The environments our children are living in. God bless you.